So, you setting up a user is very exciting. So, when somebody new joins your company, you're going to be setting them up as a user in your Salesforce org. Each user takes up a license. A Salesforce org can have multiple licenses. I'll show you how to check to see how many licenses you have. And every user must have a profile assigned to them. So if you remember, we created a profile in our last session. And you cannot actually delete a user in Salesforce. You can only deactivate them. And the reason for that is, let's say if somebody joins your company and they own a lot of records in your Salesforce system, and all of a sudden they decide to leave. You cannot delete that user because you don't know what to do with all the records that they had owned. So because of that, by default, you cannot delete a user, but you can deactivate them so they can now log back into your org and have access. So let's go back to our sandbox now, and we'll talk about how to kind of set up a user. So we'll use our junior system admin as an example. So remember on our last training, we set up a junior system admin profile. So now we're gonna have a new user join our team. So you type in users, and you're gonna select this one right here where it says users. And you guys should see something very similar. You should have yourself set up a user, and you should have chatter, integration, security users. So those are again Salesforce DevOrgs out of the box. So we don't need to really worry about that. But what we're gonna do right now is click on new user. And here you'll start creating the new user that has joined your company. So I'm gonna call this guy John. Give him a last name, Smith. And alias automatically fills, and that's just kind of like a short form of the first and last name that you'll see in your Salesforce instance. We're gonna give him an email. And what I'm gonna do is actually give him my email, so if I need to log in as him, I can. And you should do the same thing. Give him your email, because remember, you can have multiple users with the same email, just the username needs to be unique. So when it comes to username, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to create John, here's a period, Smith at Whizlabs.com. And for the nickname, I'm going to call it John.Smith. Alright, you can fill out the rest of the stuff, but the mandatory are things with the red line. Now we're going to go to the right hand side. So what you'll see here is 3, again, mandatory fields. Roles, if you remember, we created roles. So I'm going to assign this guy as system admin, because I need him to have access to all the records. Give him the user license Salesforce, and this is the standard license that you want to assign. There are other types of licenses, but Salesforce is a standard one. Give him that. Profile, I'm going to assign him the junior system admin profile that I had created before. There are a lot more features that you can kind of check off here. The one thing you need to know for the admin exam is a marketing user, and what that means, they have access to creating new campaigns and uploading campaign members. So what are campaigns, if you're thinking? We'll talk about that a little bit later in the course. But I would suggest just check this off. And if you scroll all the way down, right here, you'll make sure that this one is checked off, generate a password. And once you press save, you'll actually receive an email saying that this user is ready for setup as well. But you guys already know how to set up a user, how to log in as a user, so I'm going to leave that as it is. And if you're ever wondering how many licenses you have, just kind of type in here, system overview, and this is very useful for a system admin. It shows, again, how much storage you have available, how many rules and custom apps you have available, and how many you used. And if you scroll all the way down, it'll show you how many licenses you have available and how many you used. Because we're in a sandbox, it only gives us 2 licenses, and we use all two of them, and that's why this is red right here. So again, pretty simple tool, pretty interesting tool for us to use on our daily basis to be some great admin.
Learn with Whizlabs. Success. Certified.